Hey everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. Ooh, my camera is not set correctly. Let me fix that. Sorry about that. Hi everybody, Rabbi David here, your Torah tech guy, and I am here on Torah Tech Tips because I want to share with you great tech for your great Torah. Now you're going to have to bear with me a little bit. I know Leo's watching. Hi Leo, good to see you. Bear with me, I'm using a new microphone and a new setup. Leo was troubleshooting it with me this morning. I hope you can hear me. But this is actually a really good example of what we're going to talk about today. Because today what I want to talk about is the hierarchy of zooming well. This could really be called the hierarchy of streaming well. Thank you, Leo. Oh my God, it's my buddy. I love this man. We could really talk about the hierarchy of streaming well, but I know that most of you aren't really doing, most of the people watching this probably aren't really doing streaming as much as you are doing zooming, or maybe you are streaming your services, but and the one-to-one in your classes, you're probably sticking around on Zoom, but it's the same principles. The same principles apply to both zooming and streaming as far as the hierarchy. Now, what do I mean by hierarchy? What I mean is, what do I need to pay attention to first? What's the most important thing that I should pay attention to get the best quality for my audience? You know what I've just realized? I've forgotten both times, this week and last week, I forgot to run the intro video. Oh, well, you don't need it anyway. What is the most important thing that I need to consider when I'm thinking about the quality of the stream, of the Zoom, of the class, of the service, of the whatever that I'm putting out there? And then once I tick that off, right? Once I get that first most important thing, what's next? What's next? What's next? This space feels so overwhelming at times. It is easy, and I'm speaking from experience, it is easy to get lost in all of the different things that we could be and maybe should be doing to provide the best experience for our audiences. And so what I wanted to do is just break it down very simply for you into 5 things that you should be considering in this order when you think about the best streaming, the best zooming. So, number 1, what is the most important thing? Your internet. Hands down, it's the most important thing. The way to do this well is to be plugged into Ethernet. Will it work on Wi-Fi? Yeah, it will. Will it work on a cellular connection, a 4G connection? Yeah, it will. It will until it doesn't. And that's the problem. The problem is that right when you need it to work perfectly is when it's going to drop out, is when you're going to lose Wi-Fi, is when you're going to, something else is going to happen. Here's the thing to understand about Wi-Fi, is that when you're using Wi-Fi or a cellular connection, you're not the only one using it. That is to say, if there are other things, other people in your space, in the building that you're in, that are also on Wi-Fi, or if you have Internet of Things, if you have other things, Amazon machines and Google Home things and all those things that are using your Wi-Fi, they're eating that bandwidth, the bandwidth that you need to share your stream, to share your Zoom out. And so by plugging into Ethernet, you're giving yourself, it's not as if you then get all the internet, but you're giving yourself a secure connection to the internet such that you are much less likely, nothing's guaranteed, but you're much less likely to drop your connection if you're plugged in via Ethernet. Now, here's the good news. The good news is that Ethernet cable, you can get away with a pretty long Ethernet cable. So if you're in your home or in your office and you know where your router is, you can grab an Ethernet cable, plug it into the tuchus of your router, and run it to your computer or to what, or your CalDigi, your interface, whatever it is that you're using to stream out. And you can get away with a pretty lengthy cable, 50 feet, even longer. In my home right now, my router is in one room from Comcast. My office is in the bedroom, and I just have it running behind my couch, around the corner, and into my bedroom. So that really is number 1. If you have solid internet, you're sort of 50% of the way there. All right. Number 2, audio. And I want to do this by just as an example for you, okay? So I'm going to I'm going to just tell you why audio is so important. Yeah, you got no information. When you couldn't hear me, you got no information. But if I were to turn my camera off or change cameras, I can still talk and you can still get lots of information, even though you can't see the image as clearly or the image that I want you to see. If you don't have clear audio, people will turn you off. People will turn you off. I was actually watching last night from Nicholas Children's Hospital. There was a webinar about sending children back to school with COVID, in the age of COVID, sorry, not children with COVID. And I mean, the whole experience was kind of crummy, to be honest with you. I don't know how they were running this webinar, but the feed kept cutting in and out. But the worst part of it was the audio, is that they were using handheld microphones. They had all the doctors in one space, which, if you ask me, that was a mistake to begin with. And the doctors each had handheld microphones, and they would forget to bring it up to their mouth before, so they would start talking with the microphone down here, and then they would lift it up, and then you'd hear half of the sentence. The microphone, the audio wasn't balanced at all. This isn't it is rocket science, actually. If you ask an audio engineer, that I am not, there's a lot of science that goes into this. But for us, it doesn't have to be rocket science. It has to be, get yourself a good quality microphone. You don't have to break the bank. You don't have to spend a ton of money, but get yourself an external microphone, maybe a USB if you're at home or in the library. If you're in your sanctuary, make sure you're running audio from the board, from your soundboard or your mixer into your computer. Make sure you have the proper audio interface, and then spend some time listening to the audio. Spend some time listening to how you sound on the other end. If you don't sound good, if the audio is choppy, if it's too loud, if it's too soft, people will turn you off. And it may be that people are turning this off because I didn't have time before this to actually check my audio, which, bad me. That was a mistake. But that really is the second most important thing. People will forgive you for bad video. They won't forgive you for bad audio. So internet, audio. Number 3, lighting. Now, why would lighting be ahead of your camera? The reason is that with the right lighting, if you light yourself properly, that won't fix all the camera problems, but it will help a lot with your camera. So even if you don't have a really high quality camera, if you make sure that your light source is in front of you, or if you make sure that that big, beautiful window that you love looking out of is in front of you, so you're indeed looking out of it instead of behind you, so that people who are watching you are looking at it. If you make sure that your light source is in front of you and that you are lighting yourself properly, that can relieve a lot of the worry about my camera isn't good enough. If you have a webcam, if you're just using a webcam and you light yourself well, that will go a long way to giving a good experience to the people who are watching you. And the fourth is your camera itself. This, one of the things I said, I don't remember if it was last week or on another show, but I was talking about, thank you, KBH Media, good to see you here. I was talking about how we've been in this for 18 months and it's not going away anytime soon. And I said something to the effect of clean up your room. That is right. If you're uncomfortable. Oh, yeah. It was last week when I was talking about virtual backgrounds. I said, folks, we're going to be in this for a while. If you don't like the way your background looks, clean it up. The same thing is true for the technologies that we're using. If you want to provide a better experience, this may take a little bit of investment on your part. And I would argue, by the way, more importantly, on the parts of your synagogues or your sponsoring organizations. They need to invest in making sure you have a good microphone so that you can provide the best audio experience. They need to make sure that you have a good camera so you can provide the best visual experience. There are really good webcams out there. The Logitech Brio, although I have to be honest with you, I've seen a couple of comparisons recently that compare the new Elgato Facecam and the new Dell webcam against the Brio, and both of them beat out the Brio. The Brio was, for a while, sort of the best webcam you could get, but now the Elgato Facecam and the new Dell 4K webcam both look really pretty amazing. You don't have to spend hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a higher quality camera, and when you put a little higher quality camera together with good lighting, there you go. Then you're set. When your internet's solid, when you have good audio, when you've got good lighting that is in front of you, maybe a little bit of background lighting, and then you have a good quality camera, that's 4 out of 5. So what's the fifth? The fifth is your background. The fifth is your environment. Now, I'm not going to talk about virtual backgrounds. I just want to talk about backgrounds in general. Now, you can all agree that you don't like my background. I'm okay with that. We don't have to like each other's backgrounds. I want what people see in my videos to be reflective of who I am. I'm a tchotchke guy. I am. I mean, you can't see half of the crap that I have sitting around in my office right now, but I love tchotchkes. So I want that to come through. I want who I am to be expressed in my backgrounds, in my videos. And so I've got up here, my rock, you can't really see it clearly now, but my rock, I wonder if I could show it. Yeah, I could show it to you. My rock and roll rabbi sign that my daughter got me. I got my guitar down there. I have my shofar up there on the top. I want my background to reflect who I am. When I'm teaching Torah, when I'm leading services, people see me, but they also see my background and my environment. And I don't want to hide that. Now, some people do. And if you want to, that's fine. You can get yourself a very simple backdrop. Many of the video professionals, again, of which I'm not one, many of the video professionals talk about 18% gray. You can buy an 18% gray background. You can also just buy a colorful background, and you can hang that up behind you. At home, I have one of those the Japanese foldable thingy, I don't know what they're called, forgive me. And I have a gray sheet that I put over it. So I could I didn't want to hang a big gray sheet. So I have this foldable thing. I drape a sheet over it. I fold it up when I'm not using it. I pull it out behind me when I am using it. Your background will contribute or detract from the experience of the people that you're learning and davening and praying with. Is it distracting? These are questions to ask yourself. Is my background distracting? Mine might be. I think someone could make an argument that my background is distracting. Of course, the fact that I keep pointing it out to you is probably distracting also. But is it inviting? Does my background allow people to focus on me, or does it distract from a focus on me? Does it speak to who I am? Does it celebrate Judaism? Does it celebrate Torah? Does it celebrate learning? All of these are questions you can ask yourself about how your background contributes to what you're offering in your Zoom or on your stream. So 5 things to bear in mind in order of importance. Number 1, plug into Ethernet. Whenever you can, plug into Ethernet. It will make everything better. Number 2, focus on your audio. Make sure you have a good quality microphone. Make sure it's plugged in well. Listen to yourself. Maybe do a couple of recordings in Zoom. I do that all the time. I'll jump into a Zoom meeting all by myself. I'll record it, and then I'll just listen, just to make sure it sounds okay. Number 3, lighting. This is a simple one. Make sure your light source is in front of you. Number 4, camera. If you have the capacity to get a higher quality webcam or even a mirrorless camera, that's fantastic. If not, go back to the light. Number 3, go back to lighting. And number 4, background. How is it enhancing, enriching the experience? And how are you using your background to add Torah to the experience you're sharing? I'll just tell you one last thing. One of my favorite memories from this past year is I was actually teaching a class, and one of the participants in the class had these beautiful Shabbos candlesticks behind her. And they were distracting me. And I asked her about them. And we got the most amazing 10-minute story about these candlesticks and where they came from and what they meant to her. And that was better Torah than anything that I was about to share. So there's your hierarchy, friends. Hey, Leon, good to see you. And Leo and KBH Media, it's good to see all of you here. Hey, folks, guess what? You can visit me online. I know you know that. But if you go to TorahTechGuide.com, like me on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube. I'm putting out videos all the time. I'm doing how-to videos. I'm doing these Torah Tech tips. And by the way, we have a really big announcement coming. Shh. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I'm not going to tell you anything about it, but hopefully later this week, ancillary to Torah Tech Guy, a really big, exciting announcement coming of a resource that's going to help you with digital tools to enrich your digital Torah, your online Torah. So that's all I got for you today, friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was really good to see all of you. I love seeing the comments. So when you are watching, please throw something in the comments. Even if it's after the stream, I'll go back. I'll check out the comments. If you have questions, let me know. I'm here to help you, and I'm here to learn with you, to share great tech for great Torah. Have the most amazing day, everybody. See you soon. Bye.